Awesome. So yeah, today is going to be full body. It's going to be, like I said in the email, pretty steadily paced. It's not going to be too fast. Again, there's going to be a lot of space for you to, kind of as usual, but particularly there's going to be a lot of space for you to maybe adapt, explore. Things like vinyasas as well, they're going to be completely optional. You can take any variations, any bits and bobs you want in that space. Yeah, with a little bit of breath work at either end. Nothing too serious, just quite a simple exercise, just to help stay anchored in the present moment, because that connection to your breath, that paying attention to your breath, is probably one of the most effective ways, or the most effective way to bring yourself back to the here and now, instead of that, oh my God, I've got so many things to do, or I wish I'd said that to that person when they, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of a quality, that presence, which will clear out all the other, hopefully, clear out all the other stuff that's going on in your mind, even if it is just for a couple of minutes. And also when things are really chaotic, if you're feeling a bit stressed, a bit anxious, again, breath, bringing yourself back to just what's happening right now, that movement of the air in and out of your body, to help bring a little bit of calm as well. So it's a tool that is super useful, and particularly potentially moving into the big C this year. If you need a little moment, just come back to your breath. Can be really nice. I feel like I've just said a lot and not made a lot of sense, but hopefully there's a bit in there. Let's just crack straight on. I'll try and talk a bit less. So getting comfortable, any seated position. You can lie down if you want to, but if possible, eyes closed. As you settle into your seat, start by just paying attention to your breath. So as soon as you feel ready, just starting to notice your breathing and paying attention, particular attention to that air as it moves into and out from the nose. You might notice that the air is cooler on the way in and warmer on the way out. You might connect with it slightly differently. Perhaps there's almost a lightness to the air on the way in and almost like a thicker quality to the air on the way out. And keep your attention at your nostrils, at your nose. And of course, anytime you realise your mind has wandered, just come back to that point. The movement of air into and out from the nostrils. See if it's possible, maybe for the breath to become a touch slower, a touch softer or quieter. And see if you can start to even out your breath. So getting a sense that the in-breath and the exhale, in-breath and out-breath, are taking pretty much the same amount of time. And just continuing to hold your focus at the nose, that movement, that flow of air. Not concentrating on it so hard that there's a furrowing of the brow or a tightening of the jaws, but the face is still soft. There's a softness across the chest, the collarbones, the shoulders. Then you're going to start to count with your breathing. So for example, breathing in for a count of 4, and breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Keep counting, and you are welcome to count at a different pace. You're welcome to use a different number. Maybe you're taking 3 count or 6 count breaths, as long as it's the same on the way in and on the way out. And making sure you are counting in your head. It might be that you are able to find those counts, to sort of slide those into your breath pretty easily, pretty comfortably. There might have been perhaps just a slight tightening maybe of the chest, or a slight air of discomfort. Or there might have been that voice in your head, oh, counting, am I going to do it right? Should I be counting more or less? So see if you can start to observe, reflect on, notice, even just very subtle changes in your body. Again, observing thoughts. But as often as you need to, coming back this time to those counts. Same counts in, same counts out. Take your time, but as you finish your next out breath, let the counts just fall away and allow your breath to move more naturally. Just notice how you feel. Perhaps there is a bit of a sense of calm or a quiet, a sense of a slight change in the air, the space around you even. It might have been one of those days where your mind was really not going to play ball. Try not to let that become a cause of frustration. And definitely try not to pull that through into the rest of the practice. When you're ready, just having a little bit of time to move any part of the body that needs it. So maybe that's the shoulders, moving the neck, spine, anything you like. Just to sort of wake the body up, start to connect to those physical sensations. And take as much time as you need, but when you feel ready, you're going to start to move onto all fours and take it into a cat-cow. So you're absolutely welcome to keep doing your own thing, keep doing what you're doing for a while longer. But eventually finding that cat-cow, using the in-breath to lift the tailbone, back arching, chest, and face forward, and the out-breath tucking the tailbone, drawing the belly in, pushing the floor away. As you breathe in, lifting the tailbone, can we create or maintain a little sense of length or space in the spine, particularly in the low back? You exhale, keeping the neck relaxed, the jaw soft. As you're settling into your cat-cow, thinking about creating a little bit of a partnership, of a relationship between your movement and your breath, perhaps in terms of the length of your breath and the speed of your movement, perhaps the quality of your breath and the quality of your movement. Jaw relaxed, neck free and easy throughout the movement, so we're not scrunching the shoulders, holding tension. And when you feel ready from here, just going to take the hands a little further forwards towards the top of the mat, and with an exhale, send the hips back to your heels, coming in to a child's pose. But as you take a breath in, you're going to shift forwards, hips move away from the heels, shoulders stacking-ish above the wrists, and the exhale coming back to your child's pose. The inhale shifts you forwards, the exhale shifts you back. Toes can be tucked or untucked. You can play around maybe with having them tucked under and pushing from the feet to come forwards on the in-breath, pushing with the hands, the arms to come back on the out-breath. If you want to add any other little bits and bobs, maybe a little press at the top of your breath, making sure the abdominals stay tight. Maybe you want to take it into a back bend, allowing the hips to melt down and the chest to lift. And you can play around with it and feel free to sort of disrupt that breathing a little bit. You know, if you want to take more time on something, you don't have to be moving strictly one movement per breath. But next time you exhale, just settle into that child's pose for a moment. Finding perhaps a bit of stillness, there might be still some gentle movement happening. Bringing that attention back to your breathing. Does your breath still feel fairly even, fairly equal? Has the quality of your breath changed? Is it continuing to change as you stay in your child's pose? Starting to make your way back to your all fours position. If at any point, so we are going to have the hands down for a bit, if at any point the hands are risking a bit sore, just do take time to kind of shake them out, circle them. But coming to all fours, keeping the belly hugging back towards the spine. We want to try and keep the low back pretty stable, so we're not going to get too much of that kind of that cat-cow action. So as you breathe in, reaching right arm forwards, left leg back without sinking, dipping into the low back. And as you exhale, bring hand to knee or knee to elbow beneath you. Maybe a slight rounding of the spine. Again, as you breathe in, reaching, lengthening, hugging the belly in more, and exhaling to connect, to draw in beneath. Left arm is going to be pretty strong. You want to create some stability in the shoulder by pushing the floor away. Neck is still long. Jaw, if possible, is still relaxed. Next time you breathe in and extend, just take a little pause there. Keep reaching, but do you see if it's possible to lightly hug the belly in again a little bit more? Keep the leg lifted, bring your right hand down to the mat. Take your left toes down to the back of your mat and then drop the heel in and down, Push down with the right hand, lift the left. So you're in a supported side plank. You're more than welcome to kick your right foot back behind you to make it a little bit more stable. Great. So as you find that supported side plank, start to reach your left arm all the way overhead alongside your ear. Notice how that feels through the side of your body. And maybe push the floor away a little bit more with the right hand, or even pressing the right hand down and slightly forward to the top of your mat to slightly engage the right side of the body, and maybe the rib cage lifts a little higher. Great, allow the left arm to float back up to the ceiling again. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, really push the right hand forwards, bend your left knee and sink your hips towards the back of your mat. Left arm can reach again towards the top of the mat if you want. As you breathe in, push with the left foot so you're coming back into that kind of supported side plank. So the out breath sinks you towards your right heel or the back of the mat, and the in breath pushes with the left leg, opens you, lengthens you out again. This right arm, right shoulder, again, is going to be reasonably active, keeping some space between the right ear and the right shoulder. One more time. Before coming back to an all fours position. Spin the hands around so fingertips point back towards the knees and the thighs. Maybe bring the hands back a little bit as well so they're closer to you. Easing hips to heels, just finding a little bit of a stretch through the forearms. And then flipping it over, back to the hands down, palms up to the ceiling, pressing the floor away. And again, easing hips to heels. I'm just going to spin myself around. Coming back to all fours, again, stabilizing the low back, finding that core stability, not a strong contraction, but that kind of stabilizing hug, because that makes so much more sense. But as you breathe in, then you're going to send the left arm forwards and the right leg back without sinking into the shoulder, into the low back. Then the exhale, bringing everything in underneath you. So again, your supporting right arm is going to stay nice and strong. Trying to maintain that stability in the shoulder. As you extend opposite arm and leg, hugging the abdominals in a little bit more. And that back leg probably is quite active as well, that right leg as it extends. Keeping the eye line steady. Help with your balance, and next time you breathe in and extend again, take a little pause there. Maybe just push the floor away a tiny bit more in the right shoulder with the right hand, hug the belly in a little bit more. Bring left hand down under left shoulder, take right toes to the back of the mat, drop the heel in and down. Push away with the left hand, float up with the right supported side plank, and again, adjust that underneath knee if you want to. From there, top right arm nice and strong as it reaches all the way alongside right ear towards the top of your mat. How does that change what you're feeling to the right side of the body? Maybe pushing the left hand slightly down, slightly forwards to help create a little bit more lift, contraction in the left side. Allow the right arm to float back up to the ceiling. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, sending the hips towards the back of the mat, right arm reaches over, pushing from the right foot as you breathe in, coming back to that supported side plank. Great, so you're moving, again, back, if you like, on the out breath, forwards, on the in breath, a little contraction, on the out breath, and a lengthening and expanding the in breath. And then after this one, again, hands are going to come down to the mat, finding your all fours, but taking it from there into a downward facing dog. I'm just going to spin myself around. As always, taking time in your down dog to get there, to ease your way into it. So bring in any little bits of movement that you want, or maybe you prefer just to focus your breath into areas of perhaps stiffness or strong sensation. And when you're ready, just taking a moment to come forward into a high plank position. Stacking the shoulders over the wrists, neck nice and long, pushing the floor away, drawing the belly in. A sense that the body is active throughout, but that effort not creeping into tension if we can help it. Great, slowly lowering the knees down to the mat and lowering all the way down onto your belly. From here, coming up onto the forearms for Sphinx pose. So the forearms will be parallel to one another, elbows underneath the shoulders and palms down on the floor. Have a little moment just to push the floor away, to slightly retract the shoulder blades. Maybe think of lengthening the spine, so the heart is reaching forward. Maybe the legs and the toes are reaching back. Then tucking your toes under, taking a breath in here. As you breathe out, pushing down with the forearms, peeling the body up, either into a 3/4 plank with a strong tuck of the pelvis, or all the way up into a forearm plank. The in-breath brings you back into that Sphinx pose with control, chest lift, shoulders back. And the out-breath into a full or a 3/4 plank with a strong tuck of the tailbone. Moving between the two. Next time you breathe out into your plank variation, hold it there. Keep breathing. For 3, 2, 1. Releasing down, planting the hands underneath the chest, moving it back into a downward facing dog. Maybe you stay in your down dog, maybe you're taking it through a form of vinyasa. So regular vinyasa would just be coming forwards to your plank, lowering down either all the way to your belly or hovering with the elbows at 90 degrees before you move into your up dog. Back into your down dog. All right, so you're going to come back down to an all fours position. Are you, in fact, I'm telling a lie. Take it back into a down dog for me, sorry. Down dog and then lift your right leg. So a bit of time in that 3-legged dog. You're welcome to bend the hip, roll, bend the knee, sorry, bend the hip, bend the knee, roll the hip open. To move, again, to be still. But when you're ready, stepping the right foot forwards, dropping your back knee down, then sweeping the arms high. We're going to take it into a little back bend or a high release. So you want to make sure that the legs are stable, hips are drawing in, belly button just slightly drawing in and up. Arms, you have hands together, you can interlace, take them wide, whatever you fancy. But from that stability around the hips, we're lifting up out of the waist, lifting the chest, maybe the face towards the ceiling. Bear in mind, head is heavy, so just being mindful of whether you want to have it relaxed back or have it a little more held chin to chest. Keep breathing. Calm breath. When you're ready, lifting up and out to plant the hands, step back to a downward facing dog and lift your left leg. And you've got time in your 3-legged dog. Or again, stepping the left foot forwards, dropping the back knee down. And again, we're coming up with the arms wherever you want them, any variation, gathering in for stability and support, lifting up, and then that little high release, little back bend, Where is it that you're feeling this the most? If it's as a pinch or a compression in the low back, back off slightly, see if you can really use the abdominals to create a little bit more lift. Maybe you feel this in the front of that right thigh, the right hip maybe. Can you breathe some space into that area? Or maybe you're just focusing on trying to stay calm. You're releasing the hands down, lifting up to come back over, planting the hands, down dog, vinyasa, child's pose, whatever you like. Okay, so once you're back in your downward facing dog, you'll look towards the hands, start to creep your feet to the top of the mat, allow the heels to lift, the knees to bend, try and keep the hands planted on the floor for as long as you can. When you do find your forward fold, how do you want to use it? Is it ragdoll, strong, still, a bit of movement to it? When you're ready, just making your way up to standing. When you get up to standing, just make sure the feet are comfortably placed for you. A little bend in the knees, you want a little bit of that kind of responsiveness, that play, that buoyancy in the legs. Your right arm, palm turned out, is going to sweep out, up, and over in front of the face. And then your left arm is going to turn, palm out, sweep out, up, over. So you're going to keep switching sides. Out, up, over. Try and make sure the knees aren't locked. Out, up, over. Particularly if you're finding that that little side bend with the spine is coming in. Maybe as you're in your side bend, there's a little more bend of the knees perhaps. Make sure abdominals are working. A little bit of extra release for the shoulders, the lats, the sides of the body. Gradually finding some stillness again. Pick a leg, doesn't matter which. You're going to find a little bit of balance. Again, maybe working with that little bend in your standing leg will mean that you have to just engage a little bit more the glutes and whatnot, I was going to say, instead of just kind of sitting into the hip and the knee. But your lifted leg, either you're just going to kind of internally, externally rotate the hip. If you want to challenge it a little bit more, maybe you're taking it to more like a figure of 8. It's coming in front and behind. You can always mix and match. So warming up the hip, working that balance nicely, guys. Before giving that a shake and then just switching sides. Kind of freeing things up a little bit. And a little bit of a bend in the standing leg. The hips, or the pelvis rather, can sway, or you can think about keeping it, stabilizing the pelvis and just working into that hip socket. Again, it could be just those little sways. Good work, guys. It could be something a bit bigger. Great, and again, give it a little shake. Come to stand at the top of your mat if you're not already there. Take the arms up to the ceiling, hug the shoulders up to the ears, ground down through the feet. So you've got that two-way sense of energy, sense of flow, grounding down, reaching up, trying to keep the low ribs just slightly integrated into the body. Still breathing. How does your breath feel? There might be a slight restriction at the back of the throat depending on the placement of the head. But when you're ready, take it into a forward fold. The hands are going to find the mat. You'll step back to a downward facing dog. Throw in a vinyasa if you want one. But eventually, we're going to come to meet in a tabletop position, in an all fours position. So from this tabletop, we're going to take a little kind of mini flow. We'll go quite slow on the first couple of rounds, and then we'll just speed it up, repeat it a few times, so hopefully we'll start to get a sense of kind of roll and fluidity to the movement. That's the idea, we'll see. So from your all fours position, bring your knees slightly further forward, tuck your toes under. Now this is not going to have a sense of roll or flow, because you're just going to tuck the toes under, hover your knees a millimetre off your mat. Hug the belly in, push into the feet, push into the hands, keep breathing. Just a millimetre off your mat. Draw the low ribs into the body for 3, 2, 1. Knees down, hands a little shake. We're going to do it again. So once you've had a moment, hands come back down again, that same all fours hover. So maybe start by hugging the belly in, powering up the arms, then powering up those legs, little hover of the knees, keep breathing. And maybe this time sort of shifting your weight around your mat, not sinking down, but pushing the floor away, drawing in, drawing up. 3, 2, 1. Releasing down. Give the hands a little shake. So this time, that same all fours hover, we're just going to find a little bit of kind of pivot, a bit of twist with the knees and with the hips. So from that same all fours hover, hips and knees are going to swing to one side and to the other. And you might find that your feet kind of gradually get further and further away from you. That's okay, just reset, come back, hips and knees, you're pivoting on the toes, on the balls of the feet. And if the feet start to get away from you, again, reset. But don't go too nuts, because again, we're going to add on in a moment. Dying, actually dying. Take a little breather. Okay, so now we're going to start to put this little mini flow together. So from your all fours hover, almost simultaneously, you're going to pick up your right leg, turn the hips and knees to the left, drop your left heel down, your left hand might pick up here, kick the right leg through towards the long edge of your mat and sit down. I probably made that sound really overly complicated, so let's just do that again. From your all fours hover, pick up your right foot, turn hips and knees to the left, kick that right leg through and sit down. Beautiful, so you should have right leg straight, left knee bent. Push the floor away with your right hand and allow it to lift, let your left knee drop out to the side. You might have to slightly adjust where your legs are to make it more comfortable. So you're in a sort of half straddle, right leg out, left knee bent, and just take a little forward fold. Might be a big forward fold, also acceptable, also fine. Then as you lift the body back up, you're going to bend your right knee so you can plant the sole of your right foot. Your left hand is going to come to the floor either on your left side or slightly behind you. Push the floor away, lift the hips, little wild thing. And again, you might want to just slightly play around with the placement of the legs. You're squeezing the glutes, bringing the hips forward, opening up to the right hip and through the front of the body. Awesome. Bring the hips back down to your mat. Extend your right leg. You're going to roll back towards your right. So the left foot is going to come down to your mat. The hands are going to place underneath the shoulders. So they're going to keep rolling towards the top of your mat. You're going to lift up and come back to your all fours hover. I'm hoping this will start to make more sense when we actually go a bit faster. I'm going to spin myself around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So from your all fours hover, picking up the left leg, turn hips and knee to the right as you kick the left leg through and sit down. Push the floor away, right knee drops out to the side and you take a little forward fold. You're sort of facing the back corner of your mat. Again, adjust the placement of the legs if you need to bring that left leg a bit further forward. Again, bringing the body up, bend your left knee, plant the foot. Your right hand comes down either to the right side of the body, maybe slightly behind you. As you push the floor away, squeeze the hips forwards and up. Reach the left arm back alongside your ear, so you've got that wild thing, that back bend, right arm is strong, glutes are engaged, squeezing the hips maybe a little more forward if possible. And then as you release, bringing the hips back down, straighten your left leg. You're gonna roll, so the hands are coming over the left shoulder, right foot finds the floor, hands find the mat, lift, suck, place. That well-known set of instructions. Lift, suck, place. All right? You all right, Haley? Yeah, cool. All right, we're gonna go again. We're gonna do maybe 2 more sets on each side. We'll do it a little bit faster, and hopefully there'll be a bit more of a sense of roll and flow with it. Okay, all fours hover. Here we go. All fours hover, pick up the right leg, kick it underneath you, sit it down. Drop the left knee out to the side, little forward fold. Bring the body up, plant the right foot, plant the left hand, little wild thing. Bring the hips down. Straighten your right leg, hands roll all the way over the right shoulder, top of the mat. Suck the right leg under, all fours hover. Pick up the left leg, kick it under, hips and knees turn to the right, sit it down. Roll. Right knee drops out to the side, little forward fold. Lift the body, plant the left foot, plant the right hand, squeeze it up, little wild thing. Drop the hips down, stretch your left leg, hands dive over the left shoulder, right foot finds the floor, hands find the floor, lift, suck, place. All fours hover again. One more time, just have a little moment to bring the knees down if you need it. Last time. All fours hover. Pick up the right leg, hips, knees to the left, kick it through, sit down, roll. Left knee out to the side, little fold. Lift the body up, plant your right foot, plant your left hand, little wild thing. Drop the hips down, stretch your right leg, diving hands over right shoulder, plant left foot, plant hands, lift, suck, place. Second side, pick up the left foot, hips and knees turn to the right, kick it through, sit down. Drop right knee out, little roll, forward fold. Lifting up, plant left foot, plant right hand, lift the hips, little wild thing, make sure right arm is nice and strong. Drop the hips down, stretch left leg, hands dive over left shoulder, right foot finds the floor, hands find the floor, lift, suck, place, release, knees down, child's pose. If you want to take a vinyasa, or if you just want to sit up and shake the hands out. Well done, guys. Awesome. Okay, so let's get back into a downward facing dog. You're going to lift your right leg, step it to the top of your mat, and come up into a high lunge. Stay on the ball of the back foot, arms reach. You're going to just have a little bit of time in your high lunge, whether you want to get a bit lower, maybe power up the back leg, or whether you want to keep it a little higher, a little more buoyant, entirely up to you. Then you're going to drop the back heel down, open into a warrior two. Now your left arm is going to come up towards the ceiling, overhead, and take you into a little fold. The hands, the fingertips are going to brush the mat on the inside of the right foot. You're then going to bend your left knee, stretch your right. The body's going to drag towards the back of the mat. Push the left leg to straight, and that left arm circles up and over. So you're creating big circles, up and over. Right knee bends, fingertips find the floor. Bending left, drag the body back, push the floor away up to standing. So your arm, left arm is making big circles. The legs are making circles, the pelvis is making circles. That's it. Awesome. And it might be quite small. The hands don't have to find the floor. If you want to use both arms, you can do. That's going to give a little bit more challenge to the core, just a touch, and to the legs. That kind of extra weight. Obviously, we're working the hips quite hard here through quite a big range of motion, whilst working that strength. Nice. So I'm going to say that's probably enough of that. Let's come back into your warrior two, back into your high lunge. And then slow, 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 lower your back knee down to the mat. As the back knee touches down, left hand is going to find the front of the mat and your right arm is going to circle all the way back behind you, maybe to catch your left foot, so bending left knee. If that does not feel like a great thing for you today, you can always keep trying to squeeze left heel in towards your bum without the bind. You're just going to activate the hamstring, or you can just let that leg relax. Bringing two hands back to the top of your mat, stepping back to a downward facing dog for whatever you want in this moment. A vinyasa, a breather, a drink. And when you're ready, left leg is going to lift. You'll step your left foot to the top of your mat. And again, you'll rise up into a high lunge. A little bit of time, and maybe this is just where you kind of catch your breath. Refocus, maybe come back to noticing the breath as it moves in and out through your nose. For then opening into your warrior two. So this time it's going to be your right arm that leads those circles. So the right arm is coming up, over, you're folding towards the floor, and then again, bending the right knee, straightening the left as you drag towards the back of the mat, push the floor away, coming up and over. So again, you've got those circles with the right arm or both arms. You've got that kind of circling, shifting of weight with the legs and the pelvis. Is it possible to sort of release the body at the bottom? It might be, again, a smaller movement. The body might stay a little more upright. There might be less of a fold at the hips. Just go for one more. Before pausing. Well done, guys. Coming back into your high lunge, coming onto the ball of your back foot, and then slowly lowering that back knee down. As the back knee silently touches down, right hand finds the mat, left arm sweeps all the way back behind you. Maybe you're bending the right knee, catching your foot. There's no bind, it's up to you whether you want to keep squeezing heel in or just allow that right leg to relax a little. But again, releasing, planting two hands and taking what you need. Once you have done what you're doing, you know, either walk hands to feet, feet to hands, take a little spring, you're coming up to standing, basically. And we're going to take a little dancer's pose before we start to come down to the floor, or before we do get down to the floor. So standing on your right leg first, bringing the left heel in towards your bum. And I always like to start on a bent leg, but that's entirely your preference. So catching left foot from the inside, your fingertips on the little toe edge of your foot, right arm is reaching forward. Kicking left foot into left hand, pushing down through the right foot, eye line is steady. And as you find your dancer's pose, is it possible to bring that focus back to your breath? To maybe try and take your attention to the movement of air in and out through the nose. Before you gently release. Nice. And switch sides. After this, we're basically lying down. All right, so picking up the right foot, right heel into your bum again, catch the foot from the inside, fingertips by the little toe. Left arm reaching forward, set your gaze, find that drishti, that visual anchor point. And then starting to kick. Right foot into right hand. Maybe allowing your weight to shift slightly through the standing leg, standing foot to help find or maintain your balance. But when you find your dancer's pose, can you refocus, come back to that breath? Is it possible? And again, when I'm gently releasing, give the legs a little bit of a shake. And then just come to lie down any way you like. Of course, you can take a more formal transition. But when you get down there, just bending the knees for a moment, planting the feet down, lifting the hips into the air, little back bend. Again, we're looking out for that space in the low back, space and length to the sides of the waist, maybe. Coming back down, crossing right ankle over left knee, left thigh, little sleeping pigeon. So reaching through, catching that foot. If you prefer to take a twist here, so still from that same starting point, that figure four ankle to opposite thigh, taking the foot to the floor on the left side. You've got that option as well, which will open up a slightly different area, different aspect of the outer right hip. Coming back to center, switching sides, again, entirely up to you. Two different variations of a sort of outer hip stretch. One is just sleeping pigeon, left ankle over to right thigh, just reaching through, maybe chilling here, pressing left knee away from you, or keeping the right foot on the floor, keeping that shape with the legs as you drop that shape over towards the right, sole of the left foot coming to the floor, knee up towards the ceiling. And then again, coming back to center, taking us any last little bits and pieces that you might need or might want before you get into your Shavasana, if you're just ready to get there. Then of course, just finding that comfortable position. Lying on your back if that works for you, but if it doesn't, feel free to mix it up to do, again, what's going to feel best for you. To find a bit of stillness. So when we're getting into that Shavasana, we're looking for a position that minimizes physical discomfort, minimizes that distraction. Trying to encourage the body to become a little softer, to surrender, to melt into the mat beneath you. Taking a step back and observing thoughts as they come and go, perhaps choosing to consciously let go of those thoughts, as opposed to allowing yourself to get wrapped up in them. And you've always got your breath to bring you back, to anchor you in the present moment. We're going to start to move into another little bit of breath work. You are very welcome to stay as you are. If you'd like to change the position that you're in, maybe come to sit, whatever it might be, then give yourself time to do that. So we're not going to rush into the breathing. We've got a little bit of time to sort of get to where you want to be. We're just going to take that counted breath. So when you're ready, again, there's no rush, just starting to settle in to your breathing, to begin to count. And maybe it's breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out, 2, 3, 4. As long as it's the same number of counts on the way in and out, as long as you are consistently counting in your head, and just coming back to your counts whenever you realize that you've been distracted. And the number doesn't matter, the speed that you're counting at doesn't matter. And you're either going to spend a minute or so, again, just sticking with that same counts in, same counts out, or the option is to take it into a box breath, where, for example, you would breathe in for a count of 4, you'd hold the lungs full at the top for a count of 4, you'd exhale for a count of 4, and you'd hold the lungs empty for a count of 4. So you've got an in breath, a hold, an out breath, and a hold, all with the same number of counts. If that just feels a bit much, just stick with that even in breath and out breath. If you're working with the holds, can they still have an air and a quality of calm to them? Again, you might notice that in those holds, you're suddenly much more aware perhaps of your chest or of a slight tightness. And can we try and maintain the calm and the control that we have over our breath? We're never going to cause ourselves to run out of breath. Even though the breath is being stopped and held, it's still part of a continuous cycle that we are very much in control of. Take your time to finish your round of breath. As you come to the end of your next exhale again, just letting go of those counts, taking a moment with the eyes still closed. Just sit and notice or absorb the effects of that little bit of breath work, of the practice of the last hour. Hopefully there were some bits and pieces in there which might be useful perhaps in the days or the weeks that come. But thank you very much, guys. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a lovely week, and I hope I'll see you for more of the same next weekend. Awesome. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Alex. Oh Lord, I'm so stiff this morning.